Good morning, and thank you for joining us for Influencer Marketing on a Budget, Session 3, Collaborating with Influencers. Today's January 25th, and this is the third in a series that we're presenting on collaborating with influencers and working with them. So Ingrid Deon from WordCraft has been presenting. If you're just joining us for the first time, highly recommend you go back and watch the first two. And like anything else, these are made so much better by your questions. So please do not hesitate to ask. Put it in the Q&A, not the chat. And really excited that you were able to join us today. My name is Nick Fry, and I'm the manager of business development with Tourism Nova Scotia. And let's get going. So again, if you have questions, the Q&A is the best place to have them so we don't miss them. If throughout the presentation we speak about any different types of links or resources software, we'll make sure that we share that after the fact. So you don't need to go look through it during the webinar. We'll just send it after the fact. The webinar is closed captioned. You can turn it on or off at the bottom. And any of our webinars are available at webinars within Digiport or on Tourism Nova Scotia's website, so tns.ca. We'll share all that information at the end. We have brought this presentation through, this webinar through collaboration with Digital Nova Scotia. So I'm hoping that you're signing up through Digiport. If not, I'd really highly encourage you to check out Digiport. It's a one-stop shop for interactive services, training, opportunities to connect with experts. You can improve your online presence and enhance some of the challenges you might be having digitally. nsdigiport.ca. And you could even go and book a one-on-one session with Ingrid after this. So if you're really excited and want to do that, you can book that 1-hour session with her through the one-on-ones in Digiport. So I'd highly recommend that you do that. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Ingrid Deon, owner of WordCraft. They are based in Yarmouth. They're a social media marketing agency. They work and have a specialty in organic social media strategy, content creation, and community management. They work with large corporations like RBC Wealth Management, Nestle, Manulife, and really small businesses throughout the province, tourism businesses, as well as organizations. We're so lucky that Ingrid's here. I'd welcome you to share the screen, Ingrid, and thank you so much for joining us from Halifax, I believe.
I am in Halifax. Just joining you from the big city today instead of Yarmouth. Just came up for some meetings and things. So yeah, welcome. Thanks for coming back to the third installment. And as Nick explained, feel free to send me your questions whenever they occur to you. Don't necessarily wait for the end. I'm happy to be interrupted anytime. So this week, let's do a little recap of the last 2 weeks in case you weren't here, but you can watch the videos from the last 2 weeks if you want on Digiport. But we talked about identifying the right influencers to work with, how to find them, how to find the right niche, how to find the folks with the right audience, how to find the folks on the right platform, all of that stuff. We talked about analyzing their engagement and their audience. So going into their followers and looking at who is following them to make sure that it aligns with the folks that you want to attract to your tourism or operation. And analyzing their engagement. So looking at their likes, their comments, and making sure that it's not full of bot accounts. Making sure that they're engaging back with their audience, so they're answering comments, they're developing a community of people who value their opinion and are readily influenced by them, which is kind of the name of the game. And also calculating engagement rate. So the number of engagements that they have relative to the number of followers that they have, and making sure that that number is around 3% or more. Because if it's too low, then it means that their audience isn't really engaged, and that means that they don't have as much influencing power, which is what you're really trying to get. You're trying to get folks who have a following that respects their opinion and will be influenced by them. And then we talked about making that list of potential influencers that you want to maybe work with at some point and engaging with them, just so that you show up in their notifications and they become familiar with you. They're like, who's this tourism organization that keeps engaging with me? I'm going to check them out. So maybe they're answering your comments, maybe they're liking your posts back. So you really want to track that. And I provided a spreadsheet where you can track the different engagements that you make with the influencers and whether they're engaging back with you. Then once you've done this for a little while and you are noticing trends, you're seeing who is engaging back with you, those are potentially warm leads. And then you want to reach out to them either by email. Sometimes they'll have an email listed in their bio, or just by a direct message right on the social media platform. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we've talked about so far. And today we're going to talk about all of the details that go into once they've agreed to work with you, what happens then? And I know over the past 2 weeks, there have been a lot of questions about that, and I keep saying we'll get to that. So this is when we're getting to that. Just Nat is saying, want to give a feedback since the last session. I did this engagement with my LinkedIn platform and I really got a very good response. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. That's amazing. Yeah, it works. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. So we talked about trading services, excuse me, rather than paying, or you can pay, but we'll get into that a little bit more here when what's a fair compensation for the influencers. Excuse me. So some influencers will swap services. You will give them a free night at your accommodation. You'll give them a free tour. You'll give them a free meal or something, and they will create content based on that. Other times, maybe not so much. So you can offer your services for free, or if it's a really high value item, like maybe it's like a tour with several nights stay at different places or something, maybe you offer them a discount rather than for free. Or maybe you offer an all expenses paid trip to your area. You can partner with some other tourism organizations and maybe you all offer something. So you partner with a restaurant that offers them a meal. You partner with a hotel or an Airbnb or something that will give them an overnight stay, and you partner with a tour organization that will give them a tour of somewhere, maybe an eco tour or something. So you can collaborate and offer like an all expense paid trip. So some influencers will swap, others will have a certain amount that they're expecting to be paid. Sometimes they expect the free service as well as payment. It all depends. And this is often outlined in their media kit, which you will have asked for in your introduction email or direct message. So if they do have a rate in their media kit, so when you can expect to pay. So the second bullet point is you're working with an influencer who has a set rate in their media kit. In that case, I wouldn't try to, negotiate a swap for a free night stay for in exchange for some posts. That at that point you would probably have to pay their set rate unless they offer otherwise. You can also expect to pay if you're expecting like more than one service in exchange. So you want them to post on multiple platforms. You want them to post on their website as well as their newsletter and on social media. That's like kind of over and above. So often they will ask for payment for that. If you're asking for special services like an Instagram takeover or a live on Facebook or something that requires them to be on for, most of the day, those are often like extras that you can expect to pay for. And if you are asking for the rights to the content that they're creating, so photos, videos, so that you can use them on your social media or on your website. Often that's kind of an extra that you would expect to pay for. So it all depends, and all of that kind of gets nailed down in your negotiation with them. So you can tell them what you would like to get out of them, and they'll probably let you know if that's something that they're willing to swap for, or if they expect some payment for it. All right, so the legal stuff. And again, there have been a lot of questions about these things. So before you get into an arrangement with an influencer to provide some content in exchange for whatever it is, whether it's payment or a free night, you want to have some kind of agreement that spells out exactly what you've agreed to. This is this is like whether you're providing something for free, it's just a free exchange, there's no money that's exchanged, or whether there's money that's exchanged. Either way, you really want to have something written that spells out exactly what the contract is. Include details about fees, about when the payments will happen. If you are paying, I would suggest to hold back a portion of the payment until the project is completed. So maybe pay 50% upfront and then wait for the 50% once the project is done, once they've posted the content, just to make sure, because maybe they end up never posting about it, and you don't want to be in that situation where they already have all of your money. And this is not something that happens often, but you want to protect yourself. So in your contract, spell out what the payment terms are, when you will pay. And the deliverables from the influencer. So what are they doing? What are they providing? They're providing one post on Instagram. They're providing 5 stories on Instagram. They're doing a blog post. Whatever it is that you've agreed to, make sure that that is spelled out specifically. The number of posts, where they will be, whether it's a photo or a video, like exactly what you want. And this makes it's good for everyone. It's good for you. It's good for them, because then they know exactly what they're supposed to provide you. And then you have it in writing, and you can go back to it if you don't get exactly what you've asked for. The contract should also spell out who owns the content. So this question has come up a few times, whether you own the photos that they create, or whether they own it. Spell that out, because it could be either way. So make sure that it's written that you want the files of the photos that they take, the files of the videos afterwards, or maybe they own it, and you are hands off. And then also spell out how you will use the content. So if you do get the rights to the photos, maybe you want to just have a note that says that you'll use them on social media and on your website, just so that everything's cool. If it's adventure tourism, something that could be a little bit dangerous, outline any insurance that's required, because you want to protect yourself in the event of some kind of accident. And this could be, if you're doing anything where there's some kind of risk of an accident, you might want to specify what kind of insurance they require. I'm sure if you're in adventure tourism, you are well aware of what kind of insurance is required, but maybe if you own an Airbnb or something, and you have stairs or something, you want to make sure that you're just covered. I don't know. If it's a secret project, so they are coming and it's a new accommodation that you haven't spoken about publicly yet, or it's a new tour that hasn't been publicized, and you want it to remain quiet until a certain date, then you should have some kind of confidentiality clause where they are not to post this on their stories while they're there until it's been revealed, or if it's some kind of announcement, whatever it is. If it's gonna stay quiet, then have a confidentiality clause. Yeah, so make sure that's all spelled out. I think I provided you might want to talk to a lawyer, of course, to get a contract written out, because I know there's a lot of like legal things that we're talking about. So you could either talk to your lawyer. I also sent a link to Tourism Nova Scotia with a template it's specifically for a contract for working with an influencer. It's by a company called Contracts Market, and they provide sample contracts. It's a lawyer who owns the company. It's Canadian. And so there's a sample contract that's specifically for contracts for influencers. So maybe Sunny can send that out after the webinar. It's kind of helpful to have something to look at, and just as an example. Other details to consider, get really clear on how many posts they're creating, where they will be posted, which platforms, when they will be posted. Get that in writing. You want them posted before a certain time, or you only want them posted after a certain date. Very clear on exactly when you expect this to go live. And that's probably in your payment schedule as well. So you'll pay them once they post it on, February 26th. And which analytics they will track. So make sure you specify what you want them to track. You want them to track engagements, clicks, reach, whatever it is that you want them to track. Make sure you spell that out. Sample agreements can also be found on Tourism Nova Scotia's. Okay, awesome. So the how to work with travel media toolkit also has sample contracts and agreements, which is amazing. Thanks for sharing that, Pam. So get clear on everything you want them to do, and put that in your agreement or your contract. There are also ad disclosure rules. So this is something that probably most influencers know about, but if you're working with maybe a new influencer who doesn't know this, you want to have a discussion about this to make sure that you're being compliant legally. So I have a list of the rules for Canada and the USA. In case you're working with an American influencer who's coming here, there are different rules, ad disclosure rules in the US. So Tourism Nova Scotia has those links, and we'll share them with you as well. So essentially, this is kind of like the Coles Notes version. The fact that you're working with an influencer needs to be obvious on the blog post or on the social media post. If an influencer is given something for free or being paid, they need to clearly state this. So they have to use a hashtag like hashtag ad or hashtag paid or hashtag sponsored or hashtag gifted, whatever correlates with the agreement that you're doing. So that needs to be somewhere in the post on social media. And even if it's on a blog, they have to have some kind of disclosure saying that this was done in partnership with such and such a tourism operation. I was gifted this, or I was paid to provide this testimonial, whatever it is. So it has to be super obvious. It has to be written somewhere in the post. There is an exception for Instagram stories where it's only the first slide. So if they're spending the day with you, they're posting a bunch of stories while they're doing a tour with you, the first story has to have the ad disclosure, and then the subsequent ones don't have to have the disclosure on every single story. You can see how that would get tedious. Every time they're posting, they would have to put, you know, hashtag sponsored or hashtag gifted or hashtag ad. So just the first story, and then after that, they don't have to do it as for every story, but for every post on social media, they would have to disclose it, and for blog posts and all of those things, newsletter, wherever it is, it has to be clearly disclosed. And again, those links with the full rules will be sent out to you. Any questions so far? Or are we good? Okay, so that's kind of the legal stuff. Get everything in writing, get an agreement, either get it from your lawyer or use a template that you can find either through the Tourism Nova Scotia, how to work with travel media. What should you provide? So before your influencers arrive, you want to provide them with some speaking points. Tell them what they should say about your tourism operation. If there are certain highlights that you want them to hit on, make sure you have a sheet where you've explained exactly what you want them to talk about, especially because you don't want them to provide incorrect information in their social media posts. So write down what you want them to talk about. Be super specific, include all details. So if you are like just like you would a description about your tourism operation, like maybe that you have on your website or something, provide all of those points to them, because they're not necessarily, I mean, hopefully they'll do some research, but they're not necessarily going to know everything about your business or organization. So provide a detailed list of what you want them to say. They will also impart some of their own opinions, but you just don't want them to post anything that's absolutely incorrect. Give them your social media handles at whatever it is, or links to your Facebook, links to your website, wherever you want them to, whoever you want them to tag, or wherever you want them to direct people afterwards to find out more. You want to make sure that there are no typos, that they have the actual proper links and handles. Give them tips for what they should bring or pack, if it's an overnight or if it's a trip. You know, if it's super windy where you are, like it is in Yarmouth, where I usually am, you know, tell them they need a jacket with, and tell them don't bother with an umbrella because it's just going to get destroyed. They need a proper raincoat with a hood and yeah, depending on the time of year, especially if they're coming from further away, maybe they don't know exactly what they should pack. So tell them what they should bring. And if they need safety equipment, or if you're providing safety equipment, if it's, you know, adventure tourism or something, let them know what they need to bring and what you will provide. You will provide a life jacket, you will provide a helmet, you'll provide the kayak, or they need to bring their own life jacket, you know, make sure you spell all of that out. You can also provide them with some kind of welcome gift. A lot of the time, if folks are expecting an influencer for an engagement, they will provide, you know, a little basket of some local items to welcome them. So that's kind of nice. Also provide them with an itinerary. Consider their preferences. So ask them if they have dietary restrictions. If they're, you know, you've been following them for a little while on social media, hopefully, because they're part of your list and you've been engaging with them. So you know what kinds of trips they've been on and what they've been eating, what kinds of tours they enjoy, what kinds of accommodations they enjoy. So really take into consideration, like, nice personal touches are really nice. So consider what you know about them. And if you don't know a whole lot about them, then maybe ask them if they have any preferences when it comes to room type or the kind of tour that you're taking them on. If you provide various tours, maybe you ask them which one they would like to go on. Just, make it personal. Arrange some photo ops. So set the stage. They're going to be taking a lot of photos and videos, hopefully. So arrange a very Instagrammable setting, whether that is outdoors or inside. Make sure everything looks beautiful and is set up picture perfect. Let them know where the best place is to see the sunrise or the sunset. Tell them where the best beach is, and make sure they know where to take the photos. All of these different things, they're going to be taking photos and they want to know where the Instagrammable places are. So if there are places like there's a mural that everyone takes their photo in front of, let them know that that's where it is. It's nearby. If they're going to Peggy's Cove, tell them to stay off the Black Rocks. Arrange things to make sure they know all of the things, the different places to go, the must-see places, and where to take their photos. If you're providing them with an itinerary, make sure you give them some free time. Don't jam pack their itinerary, because they're gonna want to have some time to just be alone. They're gonna want to have some time to catch up on their social media. They're gonna want to have some time to edit photos, edit videos, whatever it is, but block off some free time for them. They really appreciate that, so that you're not just jam packing their itinerary. Provide some good, strong internet access. I know in rural areas, it's not always easy to get, but make sure that you tell them where they can get some really strong internet access so that they can upload their videos, upload their photos. Yeah, I know when a few years ago, before I had Starlink at home, it was very hard. If I wanted to upload a video, I had to go to my cousin's house and sit in her driveway to upload a video. So if you don't have really strong Wi-Fi, make sure you tell them where they can go. Not necessarily my cousin's house, but some place where there's really good internet locally. If you don't know, then find out, because these people live on the internet and they're really going to need some very good, strong quality internet. So find out. You're gonna have to know. Any questions on like getting ready for the campaign? That's all we've talked about so far, what to provide, the agreements you need, the contracts you need, what to give them in advance, just before we get into after the campaign. Just pause for a moment, just in case someone's typing. But if not, I'll just carry on.
Nothing so far.
Someone raised their hand. I don't know, can people talk here? Or is it?
Just if anyone just wants to send us a quick message
Yeah.
on the chat, and we'll answer it that way. So I don't think that feature is enabled right now. So Joyce, if you want to send us a quick message, we'll be able to handle it that way. Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. I will keep going, but I will keep my eyes on the chat and the Q&A just in case there is a question that comes up. So we'll talk about after the campaign. So they have come, they have created their content, they posted it. Joyce says, do you know any platform to find influencers? There are quite a few different I guess software websites where they list influencers. If you do a Google search, you can find them. I haven't found them to be that helpful. I find searching different hashtags and, finding different influencers on Instagram, just kind of organically, and then looking at their followers, seeing who they're interacting with. That's been the kind of the best way for me to find influencers for our different clients. But there are websites where they have databases of influencers. Often you would have to pay to access them, or sometimes you can see them, but it's not always, you won't always find exactly who you want, because these people are self-identifying as influencers. Some of them might not even be influencers. They might just be aspiring influencers. So you really want to check people out pretty well. Check out their content that they're posting on social media to make sure that it aligns with the type of people that you want to attract to your tourism operation. There are agencies that you can hire, and they will find the influencers for you. So I know there's an agency that we worked with before. They're called #paid, or they used to be at least. And they will find the influencers for you. They will do all of the contracts for you. They will do the background checks for you, all of that stuff. It is quite expensive to get an agency to do that for you. But if you just have a little bit of time and you can search hashtags that some influencers in your niche use, as we talked about in the first session, then you can find them yourself just with a little bit of time and a little bit of digging. But yeah, there are other options if you want to pay for them. I hope that answers the question. And Sunny also says you can review your area's tourism organization, social media feeds. Yeah, for sure. And see who they've worked with before. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Sunny. All right, so we'll talk about after the campaign. So they've come, they've created their content. What do you do afterwards? So you want to get some analytics from the influencer. Whatever you've agreed on before. Often these are maybe some examples of what you want to grab from them. The number of engagements on the posts or the stories or the blog posts that they created, the number of likes, the number of comments, the number of shares, the number of clicks, if you've created a link, and the reach. So how many people saw it? You want that information so that you can see whether it was a success or not, based on what you've decided your goals are. Did you want more clicks? Did you want just awareness? So did it reach a lot of people? Were people engaged? Also, you want some screenshots of some key comments or messages that they've received. So you'll be able to see the comments on the public posts, but they might have received some messages, some private messages from people who said, wow, that's super cool. How do I stay there? How do I go on that tour? And so if they've received some messages, if they can send you some screenshots of them, that's really valuable for you. So you can see what people were interested in. And then you can create some more content on your social media accounts about those things that people really found fascinating. Sometimes it's nice to get a second set of eyes, or many thousands of sets of eyes on what your tourism operation is doing and seeing what people find really fascinating. Because when it's your own, you're not really sure, like that view that you see every day maybe isn't as breathtaking for you as it is for someone who's never seen it before. So it's nice to get that second opinion, or those many different opinions. And if you've, I think we talked about one of the previous weeks, creating either a special link that they can use with what's called a UTM, which is a little piece of code that helps you track how many people clicked that link and what they did after they clicked it. Or giving them a special, like a coupon code if you have a booking link or a Shopify or something. So if you've given them those things, then you can track how many people clicked through due to that campaign, that will really help you see the actual return on investment of the agreement with the influencer. And you also want to book a follow-up conversation with the influencer. So book a meeting, a call, a phone call, or a Zoom call, and talk about what you liked, what you enjoyed, what you thought was amazing that they did. Maybe if there was something you didn't like, also bring that up, because everyone needs feedback. All feedback is valuable. Talk about future partnerships. Would they be interested in coming back? And what would they want to do next time? And also ask them to recommend other influencers you could work with. They are a network. A lot of them know each other. And so if they see that, yeah, they really enjoyed something on the experience that they had with you, maybe they can say, yeah, and so would really like this too. So maybe you want to partner with them. Or, you know, this other influencer reached out to me while I was on the trip with you and they were interested. So maybe you want to reach out to them. Super valuable to have that follow-up conversation. Don't just do the influencer campaign and let them go on their merry way. Like, have a conversation afterwards and just find out if they have any anecdotal insights that they can share with you. Because it's great to get those numbers, those analytics, but they also might have some things that don't show up in the numbers that they can share with you. So whatever feedback they have is great, sets you up for the next time. If they had an experience that they didn't really like, or there was a part of the experience that they loved, it's great to get that feedback from them. It'll help you in the future when you're partnering with other influencers. And I really zipped through that. I thought this one would last a lot longer because I had a lot of information to get through. But if you have more questions, feel free to ask them now. We have some more time. There was a lot of information in here, but yeah. Happy to take more questions.
Yeah, if there's any questions now, please bring them up, and if not, we'll make sure that we address them after the fact.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's just see. So there's no questions coming in. So you know, we have 24 participants that's maintained consistent through the call. That's great. So again, if anything pops up after the fact, I'll share the information how you can connect with us. Ingrid is ingrid@word-craft.ca. So there's many ways to connect with us, and if anything comes up now or in the future, just send us a quick message. So just let me take back over here. Okay. One sec. We good now? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, thanks, Ingrid.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
So thank you for again joining us today. That was the last in a three-part series around influencers. And if you're interested in reviewing this, sharing it with a friend, please do so. All current and previous recordings are at tourismns.ca/webinar/webinar-series. Our next webinar is next Thursday at 10 a.m. AI Chat GPT 101, presented by John Cody and Colin Alexander from Trailblaze AI. So this is going to be great. Got a lot of people signed up already, so I really encourage you to check this out. It's a really great opportunity to utilize the tools that are available to you that can save you time as a tourism business. If you'd like to suggest any future webinars or give us any feedback, we will send out a survey, but we're always available at our email at tnsbusiness@novascotia.ca. Our corporate website is tourismns.ca. We have our consumer website where our call to action for all of our marketing is novascotia.com. Our news and resources section is tourismns.ca/news-resources. Corporate Twitter/X is tourismns, and you can find us on LinkedIn at Tourism Nova Scotia. Thank you so much for joining us and have a wonderful day.